Welcome to live with whatever the fuck this is. With me and E Honda, we're going to be discussing from the JFK assassination to today, basically, or post World War II to today, something like that. Just history in general and thoughts on the conspiracies that lie there within, maybe. So, what do you think about JFK?
Holy shit, dude.
It's a big topic.
Like, did Lee Harvey Oswald kill JFK in the way that the CIA says that they did?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Like, honestly, like, if you look at all the intricate pieces and the things that were kept secret, and like the Zapruder film that wasn't shown to the public for, like, I think it was years after the assassination, and everyone was told that, okay, yeah, like, this is what happened, and the film clearly shows that, and then the film was finally released to the public, and it was like clearly not what they said it was, and there were pieces missing from it, and things were going on, and like that just created this whole genre of people called conspiracy theorists, coined by that whole event at that time. And
it is what created us, basically. Those of
well,
us think
it didn't create us, but it codified us with a terminology that could be all encompassing, right? So you can take everyone who thinks that, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist. Everyone
at that point, we didn't have a reason to exist because there were no conspiracies, pretty much.
Well, that's not true, because I mean, there was the creature of Jackal Island. There was the whole like fucking how did we get into World War One? You know, like there's fucking things going on.
That's true. But with JFK, I think it's pretty clear whether you think Harvey Oswald shot him or not. Whoever shot him had other motivations to shoot him other than what they were. Like, even if it was Lee Harvey Oswald, I think Lee Harvey Oswald very well could have been a CIA assassin. Like, I'm not saying that's what happened or whatever. There's a million other things that could have fucking happened. But,
well, side note, like,
it's very clear that something happened.
His tax returns from like 1962 and 3 and 4 are all classified to this day. Why is that?
Yeah. And then there's the fact that he was killed by a fucking mob hitman, or what? Not a mob hitman, but a mobster. And like the reason that happened is because the CIA and the mafia were fucking working together on the whole thing. Like the mob wanted him dead too.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing. There was people in Texas specifically who wanted him dead. There were people in the federal government who wanted him dead, and there were people in the mafia who wanted him dead. Like there was a lot of stuff going on. There was like the Cubans who wanted him dead. There was a bunch of people.
When that many powerful people want you dead, you end up dead. And I don't think it's a mystery that, however he got shot, whether it was even his own Secret Service fucking people accidentally capping him with an M16, you don't accidentally fucking shoot somebody in the head with an M16 when you're supposed to be protecting them.
Yeah, I've heard that conspiracy theory too. I've never heard of that one, but it kind of makes sense.
It would make a lot of sense, because all you'd have to do is pocket a 223 casing, and that never happened. You know what I mean?
Well, not to mention the fact that the wound is completely inconsistent. Like the second wound, the first one, like I believe came from that Kirkano, right?
Yeah,
because like those bullets have like a certain, I don't know, they're really long, and
they're a weird bullet. And
yeah, they're a weird bullet, and how they act when they hit somebody is weird. They're not like normal.
That lends itself to, we don't know what the fuck those bullets are going to do in actual tissue, so you'll get very inconsistent things. But
the one that hit him in the freaking head, dude, like that was more consistent with what a 223 does when it hits someone in the head.
Yep. And like I would totally even buy that maybe there was nobody on the grassy knoll, and maybe the Secret Service knew that was fucking happening and knew that they were going to fucking shoot at the same time to make it happen, or right afterwards.
Well, it's interesting how everyone who was there at the time went running up the grassy knoll as if they had heard or saw something that made them inclined to think. And as patriots, they were like, well, they just shot our president in front of us. We got to get the guy. Like, where do you go? We go towards where we think the guy is. Where did they go? Up that hill, dude. That's where they thought he was.
Yeah.
And that was the people who were there. It was probably the best judges of what's actually going on. And another thing that's kind of funny is the amount of those people who showed up missing and dead in fucking mysterious ways in the years following.
Like Zapruder or whatever, fucking everybody who was there ended up fucking dead. Didn't Zapruder die not long afterwards?
Yeah, I'm not sure of all the particulars of who did what and when and whatever, but I just know that a lot of them and not even every one of them, but a lot of them, fucking mysterious, weird things happened.
I think everyone at this point could agree something hinky went on. We don't know exactly what, but with that in mind, that sets off this whole 20th fucking or late 20th century of random shit that appears like happenstance if you look at it individually, but if you look at them together, like, man, we have several fucking, operations in countries that are in the name of freedom that happen to be in the name of drugs. We have a war on drugs here in the United States that drives up the price of illegal drugs while also fucking imprisoning people that they don't like. I mean, there's a lot of funky shit that happens in the latter 20th century.
Yeah, it's kind of funny sometimes how some people will get busted for selling drugs like in mass amounts or whatever, and then other people won't, and usually the thing
Almost
that it
like they
is
have
how
connections.
much money you've stacked up, right?
Almost
'Cause,
like
like,
you have connections to the federal government.
right, but then certain people have that amount of money stacked up where they should probably be worried about the feds coming in, and yet they never do.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird, isn't it?
That and any industry that makes so much money that Pablo Escobar had a fucking mountain made of cash and was burying fucking like vacuum packed things of cash out in the fucking jungle and shit like that to hide it. That is something someone wants to control and someone wants to own. They don't want to get rid of that business. They want to make it more lucrative.
I don't know, man. I'm like going back to the Kennedy thing though, real quick. Like, a lot of people hated Kennedy. There was a lot of people who like wanted him dead. A lot of people who wanted him gone. Right? There's a lot of people who hate Trump. There's a lot of people who have publicly said they want him dead and want him gone. And not all of them are powerful, but there are powerful people who don't like him. My question is that the actual thing that is going on, like the way it like obviously looks in front of us, or is Trump somehow like the ultimate, like, I don't know what you'd call it, like double backstabbing,
Are you saying that he's the Teflon Don because he is actually working for them?
Well, yeah, I guess if you want to put it like that, yeah.
That would make some sense, Oh, we make an outcry over all this shit and nothing happens. Although you could attribute that to the character of the American spirit and the fact that we like people that, say, fuck you. Fuck your
right. But and like believing that conspiracy would require like Hillary Clinton basically being in on it and taking a dive during that election and pretending to get all upset about it so that the people who liked Trump would be like, oh, see how mad she got? Like, we love Donald Trump because he pissed off the person we don't like.
I think what a lot of people don't get, and even the people that are trying to fucking control us don't get, is that most of America has this fucking American spirit of fucking rugged individualism and liberty and shit in them that is like the equivalent of a fucking, like, I don't know, like a fucking neck tattoo that says freedom or some shit like that. Like, it's like something super fucking just at the core of who you are. No one sees a person with a neck tattoo that says freedom. They don't think about the fact that they have a neck tattoo that says freedom. Like, it's a part of who we are as a nation, and they're going to regret the day where they really try to fuck with that, I think.
Yeah, the problem is that we've been bred out, man. Like, the people who believe in that, the people who have that kind of ideology that pass it along to their children are outnumbered. Like, we really are. Like, the number of people who are sucking off the teat of the government state and living off that government check every month and whatever, and, like, never had a job, never wanted a job, never needed a job kind of thing. Like, those people. That's a different breed, man. That's a different kind of human being. Like, they're still human beings, and I'm not saying they don't deserve respect and dignity and all that shit. But at the same time, you got to like treat them as a different, like, you can't treat those two groups as the same people because they're not.
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with race. That has nothing to do with gender. That has nothing to do with creed or anything like that. That has to do with,
Although the likelihood of them being a multi-gender, multi-race thingamajig is much higher when they are part of that other group.
but it's not like exclusionary based upon those things by any means. You know what I mean? Like
No.
it's an ideology that's more based upon like that rugged individualism, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, make your own way. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you call it, like fucking libertarian kind of views, I guess.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
I believe in. I mean, I'm kind of like a, it's weird. I call myself an anarcho-capitalist because I think that we could live without a state if we could all just agree on,
dude,
like kindergarten fucking morality, which is
I'm
don't hit,
totally
don't
in on your
steal.
anarchy burger, brother. But at the same time, I also realize that people are fucking stupid, and that eventually somebody would fuck that up. That's why I actually like the Constitution and the whole system there, because as close as you're going to get to anarchy with some sort of semblance of control, it's just gone awry now, and it's been perverted by 200 years of bureaucracy and fuckery.
Well, I mean, going back to what we were talking about earlier with like the way to Star Trek, right? Like there could be like a third way that's not Star Trek the way that we think of it in the future, but it's more
Yeah.
of like an individual freedom based, like
Well,
self protection based,
honestly, there's enough land in North America right now that everyone in the fucking country could probably go have 40 acres out in the middle of nowhere with their own fucking off-grid fucking cabin and fucking telecommute to wherever the fuck it is they're going to work. I think that's the future, but maybe that's just my crazy Alaska dreams, dog.
I'd do that if I could. Like, hey, we'll give you $10,000 to fucking, like buy materials to build a basic place to live on this land. Like everybody gets one because we fucked you over so hard. Wouldn't that be great?
That'd be great. Oh, and here's a chunk of land too.
Yeah. Well, here's a chunk of land, and here's like 10 grand to fucking, like buy cement and shit, or whatever you need.
A chunk of land with a road to it. That's an important distinction.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to build a road.
Yeah.
I mean, not impossible, but
I mean, like, it's one thing if you're building like a half a mile of dirt road. It's
right.
It's like 200 miles.
Yeah, if you got to build 50 miles of road to get to your fucking land, like it's kind of useless.
Yep.
I don't know. My brother-in-law's got like a big old chunk of land up in the mountains that's not far from a road that, like, I don't know. I was thinking like once the kids get older, that would be a cool idea. Just be like, hey, bro, you're not using this land for anything. Like, let me just go on there and fucking start cutting some trees down and
I want to do so bad
stacking them up.
buy some land somewhere and either build a tiny house or build a trailer tiny house so I could take it wherever. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't figured that part out yet. But then have like a big ass like pole barn type of thing. It's like a metal shop and a small house on some land just out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, dude, I think he's got like 40 acres or something like that.
I don't know why I'm so attracted to the tiny house movement, other than the fact that it's kind of off griddy, and I like that, and the fact that you can build it all yourself. And I like that too.
I mean, besides the bathroom and the kitchen, like I spend most of my time in my room anyway.
Well, dude, and that's the key, I think, on those tiny houses. Is most of them just don't go big enough in the fucking bathroom and kitchen. Really, like if you have a decent sized bedroom and a decent sized living room, and then have enough bathroom and kitchen to function, then you're good, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I'm saying you wouldn't even necessarily need like a distinct living room and sorry,
one combined like living.
Yeah. Just have it like a big ass room,
Yeah, it's true. That's a good idea. That and what I was thinking was, since I'm gonna have the shop wired up for like a higher voltage, whatever, I'll definitely have 220 out there. I'm gonna put a washer and dryer in the shop, so I have a laundry room too. But it's out there in the metal shop.
Yep. Yeah, man. I mean, it'd be cool to build a cabin and fucking get it all set up and get some power somehow out there. I don't know how that would work. Some plumbing and all that shit.
Well, like if you're not wanting to run like crazy shit, like say you got an economic refrigerator and like an eco-friendly air conditioner and all that shit, and had a good like 2 or 3 wind turbines up, you'd probably be good here in Oklahoma, or I guess it's the same in Colorado. Maybe, I don't know.
It's all wind. what I'd really want is, beyond like a livable place to live, would be internet, right? Which
Yeah.
means a computer, which means enough power to run a computer, which means probably being at least semi on the grid.
No, well, the computer part is no big deal. The issue part is the internet. Because that's what's holding me back too, is that like I'd have to find some place that has fiber to it, basically. Because I'd want better internet than I currently have.
You could have Yankee internet.
That shit is for the birds. I'm not gonna get satellite internet. But that's the one thing that kind of holds me back from the whole thing is internet. Which makes me think if that 5G stuff is true and it's super fast and everywhere, then that is kind of a conspiracy that works in with this shit because, like, with the coronavirus stuff, everyone's going to be wanting to live further apart, I would think, social distancing and whatnot.
Yeah, I've heard there's like a rush of people living out, like trying to move out to where like Travis P11 is and stuff,
Yeah, middle of nowhere because they can. There's a whole bunch of people that like live in LA for no other reason than that. Oh, that's where their job is, and like they could telecommute. But why, if we're already here and we already live in California, might as well live in LA. But if like there's a threat that they might die from viral plague, they're gonna move out to Nebraska.
Well, and the thing is, like, you sell your like little 2-bedroom fucking tiny house in LA
Yeah,
for like $1.3 million,
which buys you a mansion in Nebraska.
which you can't even find a $1.3 million house for, like the governor's house, maybe.
Yeah. Like that's what I'm saying. It's like the White House or some shit is like a $1.3 million house in Nebraska. You have a mansion, literally.
So that's like got to be pretty nice for those people who go from like, I barely have enough room for anything to like, holy fuck, look at the size of this place.
Man, I think that may be part of the goal of this shit too, is to empty out some of these big cities.
Well, the only people who are going to be able to leave are the ones with money.
Yeah, but those are the ones that matter, to be honest. Because like, if you were to want to blow up this whole country, like as far as demographics go politically, moving a bunch of rich fuckers from the cities out into the middle of the country is going to have some effects.
Well, definitely in like the amount of tax revenue that they get. If like the majority of rich people that make a lot of money are like, you know what, I can make this money out here in the country.
Yeah.
Then all the tax money that they pay to the city and to the state and everything, like local governments, doesn't go to those local governments, but those services that are required by the people who were left behind are still there.
Well, I'm not saying that like everyone is going to move out the country or whatever, but I think that this is going to have enough long-term effects with a large enough group of people that you're going to see a hell of a lot more people that think like me in the long run. Because I've always been like, hey, I don't want to really be around a whole bunch of fucking people, so I don't go out to big gatherings unless it's something I really want to go to, like a movie or maybe a gun show or something like that. Like I'm not going to go to a football game because it's a big crowd of people and I have no interest in being there.
Yeah, and I'm pretty tired of big crowds of people with where I work,
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I certainly don't go seeking them out on my day off.
I worked at a movie theater in high school and college, and then after that was in college, and it was just a whole mass of fucking people, and I really fucking hated every minute of that.
Yeah, because everyone's a dickhead when they're in a big group of people and they're like trying to get to their seat and like everything's a fucking hassle and it's like, Jesus Christ, dude. It sucks for you because you're paid to be there. Like,
Yeah,
you're just fucking some shithead who cares about you. You might as well be a robot.
exactly, man, exactly. That's why I don't like corporate America. They really treat everybody like robots already. So
Yeah.
really, at this point, why not have a fucking robot and then pay me to fucking, buy a robot every few years or whatever.
So I hope this is true, and we'll see if it comes through. But they did talk about, and I saw this on like an official website too, so it's not just like people talking. But I'll believe it when I see it. They're going to give everybody $600 a week who's on unemployment plus what their unemployment was.
Wow. That would be good.
Yeah, so like even if you only qualify for like $200 a week, and you're getting paid $800 a week.
Yeah. I think someone might have realized that there are people that make tips.
Well, the problem is like unemployment here in Colorado anyway, and in a lot of states only pays you 30%, 30, not even 33%, 30% of what you actually claimed on your, like whatever you have on paper.
You know why they do Honda?
What's that?
You know why they do 30%?
Why?
Because Jesus was 30 years old, and they're super like far right wing Christians, and they're punishing you for your sin that you obviously committed to get fired. It's a conspiracy. I give you the topic of the next gay frog chat, ladies and gentlemen.
No, but I mean, like if you make like $600 a week, right, and like you're barely getting by on $600 a week, and suddenly you're not making anything, and then it takes them 6 weeks to give you your first check, so now you're 6 weeks behind, and then they're paying you 30% of what you made for that entire time.
Yeah.
It's like you're not catching up.
Dude, I don't even know where this shit's going to end now because, like, they've opened the dragon of fucking telling everyone to fucking hide. And that's not going to end well, I don't think. Because eventually they're going to have people unhide, and it's going to get a bunch of people killed, and they've scared them all so much that it's going to be them. And what happens when wave 2 of this hits, and it's not old people dying, it's everybody dying randomly.
Yeah, I agree, man. And that's a scary thought.
And, I would say if we've been at 2 minutes to midnight my whole life, we're at about 30 seconds now.
I don't know, it's weird. Have you ever seen, like, the history of the world versus the amount of time that human beings have been here?
Yeah, no shit. We're a blink of a fucking eye, man. Geologic time doesn't give a fuck about human.
It's kind of ridiculous when you look at it. Like, there was a old Carl Sagan thing that I think it was on Cosmos that they did where they had like this sheet of paper. It was like this big bundle like of paper as tall as a person, and like they had to roll it out, and it was like, I don't know, like a half a mile, a quarter mile, something like that of paper that this lady rolled out. And like the last like 3 feet of it was human existence.
Yeah. Like, and what really kills me is we don't even get how long humans have been here. Is that little 3-foot sheet is really a buttload of time. Like civilizations could have come and fall 100 times within that time. We would have never even fucking known it. Brings us to like the Randall Carlson fucking what's his name? British dude, author. Oh fuck.
I can't remember his name right now either.
Magic of the Gods or something like that he wrote.
Magicians of the Gods.
Magicians of the Gods.
Graham Hancock.
Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson shit that is all about that like pre-civilization stuff. Like I think that would explain so much of like the random stone structures we see around our planet. I think there's only 2 explanations for those. There's either there were advanced civilizations we don't know about that had some sort of method of fucking moving stones that we don't know about, or people were so fucking bored from having nothing else to do, and they had nothing but rocks and like basic copper tools, and what they did all day was carve fucking rocks and stack them. And I just don't buy that. I just don't. I think that they had some sort of technology that aided them in doing it.
I mean, look at Göbekli Tepe, man. Like they intentionally buried that 12,000 years ago for what reason?
Well, and you know how fucking important or pissed off at something, it has to be for you to bury it, 20 feet in dirt with baskets.
Well, not to mention how much work did they put into building it in the first place only to bury it?
Yeah. Like, obviously, like, if you wanted to make a case that some alien came down and was a god to people, Göbekli Tepe being buried is compelling evidence.
Yeah, dude, that shit's probably the craziest thing that's been discovered as far as prehistory in the last 20 years is.
When they dug that, the thing was, when they dug it, they found basket loads of dirt that had fucking, like, it was obvious that they were digging up something that was previously buried by people with nothing but fucking like woven baskets.
Well, I mean, you can tell the difference between like a natural process of an area being buried, like by the kind of gravel that's there and things like that. Like if it's like sand, like that kind of thing.
Well, in any area, people can disturb the whole area, and there's usually a clear break at wherever it is that they stop doing their shit. So you know what normal is. You go and establish a baseline of normal somewhere, and you use that to compare to wherever it is. And when you see that this shit is like loaded in with baskets, that's a big difference. It's like it's obvious.
I don't know. That's the one that's kind of crazy to me is Göbekli Tepe. But then you also look at other things like the Sphinx being lined up with the constellation of Leo, not today, but 12,000 years ago.
Well, especially if you look at like what Robert Schoch said about it. He said, well, yeah, it lines up 12,000 years ago. It also lines up like I think it's 52,000 years ago. And he's like, I think that might be a more likely date of creation. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Do you imagine that if the Sphinx is over 50,000 years old?
Well, the human species is at least 100,000 years old.
The human species, like in all of its forms, is like 250,000 years old. Modern humans is what, 100, I think.
Well, they say 100, but it could be as much as 250 for modern day brained humans. They don't know.
Well, that means that there's 10 times the amount of time that we have in written history where we were as smart as we are today. And if you want to say, oh, it took us some time in there to develop language and communicate with one another, okay, I'll give you that. But like, let's say that was 10,000 years. There's still 90,000 years we could have built civilizations.
I don't think it would take 10,000 years to develop the language.
That's a way overestimate, man.
I'm just saying, like, you could develop a basic fucking rudimentary language.
Well, we are coming at it now.
In a family, in a generation,
man. Like, we're coming at it now as people who know a lot of shit. If we were coming at it as apes who knew nothing and yet we're trying to communicate with one another, it's going to take a long goddamn time. Long time. I don't know how long. Like, to go from nothing to talking to each other could be forever.
Then why do we have this mechanism? Why do we genetically have this mechanism of a voice box that allows us to enunciate words very particularly, and other animals don't? Besides parakeets, they don't have a big enough brain to fucking like think of things anyway.
Yeah, they just know to mimic us.
Right.
Like I don't know.
My point is that our voice box developed along with our frontal lobe, along with those cognitive abilities. Therefore, language came with it originally.
If you want to look at like chimps as an example, it's very clear that chimps communicate now through a variety of hand signals and vocal like grunts and shit. They have communication on some level. But to go from there to where you could build a civilization, like I would say you would have had to at least reach probably the Bronze Age before, that's when civilization really started. Like maybe Copper Age, it sort of started. Like you had farms and shit, but like in the Bronze Age, you get all sorts of construction projects that we know they actually fucking did. So if that's when that shit starts, how long would it take you to go from being a fucking like monkey person to fucking the Bronze Age? I don't know. That's why I'm way overestimating it 10,000 years, because let's say it only took 500 years or 100 years or some shit like that. Well, then it's way better. But like 10,000 is so long, it's got to be ridiculous, right? And that's only a tenth of the time.
Well, the thing is, we don't know how long it would take to go from, hey, we just developed from apes to modern day humans. Like we're officially a modern day human.
My whole point of this is that it's an overestimation, and that look at how much time there still is left.
Well, my point was we don't know how long it would be because the planet keeps hitting the reset button on us.
Yeah, that's true too.
Like,
I think we've been wiped out.
There was like this advanced civilization that people like envision called Atlantis, even though I kind of believe that there probably was some sort of civilization in the like.
Yeah, I don't believe the Atlantis story verbatim or whatever, but the greater truth that there was an ancient great civilization.
Right.
I think.
Right. I mean, it's like the story of the Great Flood. I mean, there was floods.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking big.
Like big enough that you would say your entire world flooded.
Big enough to where if you were writing a book down of like biblical fucking shit, you put it in there.
Yeah.
So, there's that. But yeah, I mean, like, I forget where I was going.
I don't know. I get what you're saying though, man. Like there's definitely hints of truth in some of these old legends and shit. And I think one of them is that the world keeps hitting a goddamn reset button on us. I think realizing that we're in a fucking loop, which we are, I think we're in some sort of loop where we build up a civilization and it gets destroyed and then it starts back over again. And we're near the end of that loop.
How crazy would it be if like everything got destroyed bad enough to where everyone forgot everything that had ever happened before, like forgot most language, and just
That's
use like
Mad Max. Mad
and
Max.
then
Man.
like eventually everyone died off, but a few people, and then generations, thousands of years later, they built back up and found these like weird looking buildings in New York and stuff.
Well, yeah, and like let's say even everything we've built has been wiped clean. Mount Rushmore exists. Like there's several things like that we built out of stone that will survive us. And like if you look at the reasons those exist, it's all bullshit. Like most of them, like either a fort or it's like carving up a mountain to prove a point or whatever. It's not important. And that's all that's left of us is the unimportant giant stone thing that happened to happen somewhere. Like,
Yeah, what would they think
what,
of Mount? What would they think of Mount Rushmore?
what if that's what the fucking pyramids and shit are, man? What if there's so much fucking more to that whole civilization, but yet all we see is like they're dumb rocks?
Yeah, like they were building everything out of steel,
Yeah,
and since then it's like glass and steel has just turned to fucking dust and rust.
yep.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know. Especially when you look at like the rapid development of our technology over the past 200 years.
Yeah.
Not even 200. The last like
What if they found a fucking vault of shit somewhere, That's what I would try to do if I really thought we were coming to an end. Save everything you can on a bunch of hard drives and put shit in there on how to read it.
yeah, hard drives probably wouldn't be the answer though, huh? Because
Right.
how long it would be. Maybe stone tablets.
Stone tablets might be a better way to go, but I don't know. But could you imagine if they found some sort of, let's say, science fiction recording device powered by some nuclear whatever that lasts forever and it's very intuitive and easy to use, some sort of like scroll pad thing or something? And that's where they're getting all this technology is because it's written in some ancient Sumerian text that we can fucking translate.
That'd be crazy. Like some Star Trek shit's been here all like Data's head in the cave.
Yeah.
He's had it the whole time.
Well, that and like what's his name? That alien dude that was on Rogan that used to work at Area 51.
Bob Lazar.
Bob Lazar. The shit he was talking about how the government has this like list of black book projects that are basically we pull this thing out of a drawer and see what they think about it in all the like big science communities or whatever. And then when no one can figure it out, we put it back for another 20 years. If that's true about, even a few things, what are they hiding from us,
I'm just tired of them hiding shit from us, dude. Just tell us the fucking truth. Let us deal with it. If we can't deal with it, then like fuck off. Like treat it like coronavirus if you didn't care about old people. Like sorry, like jump off a cliff. This is the reality. If you can't deal with it, we don't want you.
Yeah.
I'm willing to accept whatever the reality is.
Do you think
as long as it's like not a lie? You know what I mean?
Do you think any of this modern shit interconnects with the fact that there is an ancient civilization? Like, do you think like the secret societies could be like former remnants of that trying to come back or some shit?
Supposedly that's what some of them are.
Well, it would make sense, wouldn't it? Because if you truly wanted to survive the apocalypse, you create yourself as like, I don't know, the Catholic Church, the Freemasons, shit like that. And
well, the Illuminati is there. That's translated to those who have received the light.
Yeah.
Which means that they've been illuminated. And the illumination that they receive is arcane knowledge. Arcane knowledge comes from ancient sources and is not given to common people. So whatever it is, supposedly, comes from these ancient things that have been handed down from generation to generation through Masons to today. And yeah, dude.
So what if the Ark of the Covenant is literally what they say it is, and is a radio transmitter for talking to God or whatever, and God tells you how to fucking like make cool shit, basically. You give God your problem and God solves it.
It's a hell of a computer.
Well, like there are, if you got a big AI or something that had an ultimate database from some ancient civilization or whatever, and you were like, we need food, we only have this, it might tell you how to make something out of that, or it might do shit. Like it knows a lot of stuff.
What if like they found the Ark of the Covenant and it's like it's been there the whole time, since like those days, and all it is a modern desktop computer with like a generator unit and like a way to give it power.
Yeah, it has schematics in it or some shit.
And they're like, "This is the word of God." Look, they like double click on the program and open it.
Look, Windows 95. Thank you, Allah.
I mean, it'd have to be some advanced shit for them to like build all the technology that we've gotten out of it since then, right? To like reverse engineer it to like the first giant fucking most basic simple computer chip that they had at first.
If it was some AI thing, like let's say it was Data's head and it was talking to him, Jesus Christ, man, who knows?
It's Data's head.
Data's head traveling through time.
Well,
They would make a lot of sense though, with like the Molech, the fucking owl god cults and shit that we know exist. Like, there's obviously some shit that goes way back, way back beyond fucking prehistory that has stayed with us, and some of them are these secret societies.
Well, a lot of that stuff is pagan shit.
Yeah, that's true too.
And that doesn't go as, but I mean, you could argue that it goes that far back because the pagan shit's based on something originally too, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. They never let me in the club. I know that. I would have joined. My uncle's in it.
What, the Freemasons?
Yeah, he's a Freemason, a stonemason. I forget what he is.
See, like, I think to that stuff, you don't ever find out any of the true good shit until you're in the leadership of that shit, It's like the president with us.
Well, most of them treat it like a drinking club, and then there's certain people who are serious about it, and those people move up and move up and move up, and then eventually, like, you can be somebody within the organization if you get high enough up in one particular cell, and then maybe they might start telling you some pieces of the bigger plan, but I don't think you ever get to know anything, even at that point.
My bet is no one really knows the full details.
Some people do.
Maybe.
Well, then, if no one knows the whole plan, then who's doing the plan? Who's planning it?
It's whatever they're receiving their orders from, man.
Oh. So you're saying like the Alex Jones method. They're talking to like demonic fucking entities or something.
I don't think they know what they're talking to. I would say that if the Ark of the Covenant is a radio transmitter for talking to God and they found it, then who knows what picks up on the other end that they're talking to. Maybe they're not demons. Maybe they're just some sort of alien species that, is giving them technology for whatever purpose, good or bad.
Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. I know that we're 4-dimensional beings. Most people think we're 3, but we're 4-dimensional beings because we also experience a dimension called time, being the 4th dimension.
We're 5-dimensional beings, but we can't interact in that 5th plane anyway. We exist in it. We can be affected by it, but we can't do anything to it.
Well, there are mathematically proven 11 dimensions of space and time.
Yep.
Only 4 of which can we perceive. So therefore, there are things going on in the background behind where we can't perceive things, where potentially things like demons and gods and other flights of fancy and whatever you can think of could exist.
Yeah.
On that note, dude, I'm getting tired.
Yeah, it's probably time to wind this up. We've been off of JFK and all that shit for a while, but I think we went in good places. So
Yeah, it's funny how you were like, "Hey, we're going to talk about JFK in America until now." We talked about JFK for like 5 minutes, and then
Yeah. Well, I made this private so I can retitle it.
yeah, they do the thing that I did, where you like cut away the audio from the video, and then like just have the audio, and then put a bunch of pictures and shit in there, make it interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
I mean, you have to have video editing software or whatever, but it's not hard.
I don't know. I enjoy these conversations because they remind me of like the Joe Rogan podcast, but better. Better because they're going more in the directions that I would like the conversation to go, you know?
Right.
Like, whenever Randall Carlson talks about his shit, there's always stuff that I've heard about that I'm like, why aren't you talking about this? Or whatever. Or whoever the guest is, you know, not single him out.
Yep, I'm with it.
Well, I think that's enough for this. See all you guys later. Oh, be sure to go watch the Gay Frog Chat. It's on Sunday nights at 8 or 9, something like that. I don't know exactly when it is because I was right after Yankee.
9 p.m. East Coast Standard Time.
9 p.m. East Coast. Well, later.
Right. Thanks, Hank Strange.
Thanks, Hank Strange.
Oh. See, Roro, you don't leave. You got to hit end. You got to hit. You don't leave.
I left the studio.
Yeah, I was going to.
So you were still going. Now we're actually leaving. Goodbye.
All right, bye.
End broadcast.